Hi and welcome. This is the Connector's Edge podcast. I'm Marian, LaSalle, and my co-host Ricki McKenna, and our guest for the second time, yoo-hoo, Scott
Hey,
Holmes. Hi, Scott. Hi, Ricki.
Good morning.
good morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you're looking at this.
Yes,
Oh, how are
yes.
you?
Time changes. There's people from all over the world that may be watching this, and maybe it's like 12 o'clock at night their time, or it's Saturday morning. Who knows?
O'clock
We're
in the
just
morning.
glad that you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why, thank you.
I'm good to see you back. And I
Yes.
want
Thank you.
Welcome back.
all about the trip that you took with Laura, who is the book publishing guru, and among other things. And there were several other people there. Was Debbie Prediker there?
No,
Hmm.
no, Debbie was not. There were 10 of us, 11 of us who went down. Laura was the primary speaker, but Dr. Oliver Reed was
Yeah.
also an Angel Gold. They were presenters.
What was the
Hmm.
name of the conference?
Dreams, it was in Dreams Tulum, and it
Dreams
was,
Tulum.
yeah,
Bloom is in Mexico.
Tulum is just south of Cancun, yes.
Yeah.
All inclusive, and it was absolutely marvelous. I brought my wife. She was the only other person. She was the only plus one, so she got to enjoy a lot of time by herself, um, by the pool,
Hmm.
and
Ah,
thoroughly enjoyed it because we were also celebrating our first wedding anniversary as well as her birthday.
Oh, how neat. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
it was really, really wonderful. It rained for about 3.5 seconds the entire time we were down there, 5 days. The mornings were workshops that we did. Then we had the afternoon off, and then after dinner we got together for dinner, and then after dinner we had a session for an hour, hour and a half after that. So the days were pretty full. I had never been down to Cancun, and it's really, really interesting. Patty, my wife, was saying how poor the area is.
Oh,
You know, you
yeah.
have all of
Still.
these, you have all of these um, walled places that own the beaches, and then you have everybody that works there, and it's very, very tough outside of it. Driving through Tulum, driving through Cancun, and um,
Still.
yeah, part of that is it really makes you reminds you of how lucky we actually are. First of all, to live in the United States at this time in this way, but also not to have to worry about, where our next meal is coming from, that we have a roof over our head, that we have means to be able to support ourselves. And so it brings, for me, always brings it back to appreciation and gratitude.
Yeah.
And yes, we went down for a writers' conference and business to be able to collaborate. Um, 13 strangers ended up being family and friends. I know if you've ever been on one of those retreats, you realize how close everybody gets, how
Yeah.
how quickly everybody opens up, and you have friendships that you don't normally get in everyday life.
yes.
I find that interesting, especially in a small group like that,
Hmm.
because I was thinking about going to what's called Soul Treat. Um, and Soul Treat is through the Wellness Universe.
Yep.
And it usually is about at least 100 people. And you can make some wonderful friendships and renew some from the people you've seen before and known for several years. But it's not the same as a small, more intimate retreat like that, especially when there's no other distractions. And so I was wondering, and Laura's amazing. She's a great leader as far as encouraging you to write your story and be who you are authentically and write it that way. I mean, she has four-letter words all over the place, and that's fine in some instances, but um, it, it she's really good at what she does. She's a publisher, but she's far more than that. She really is. And bringing you all together like that. What was Oliver Reed about?
Oliver Reed is he's prolific and he's a ghostwriter as one
Mm.
of his as one of those things, but he's published 61 books
Ooh.
and
Other
on
people's
different
books?
topics. I'm sorry,
Other people's books?
his
Oh, his own.
his own.
Besides writing other
Besides
people's.
Wow.
ghostwriting, and when I
Oh,
say ghostwriting, he's dealt with people in the NBA, the NFL, um,
Ah,
a number of people that have wanted to tell their story, and so he ghostwrites for them. Uh, he's inspirational. He's God-fearing. He is an inspiration in the way that he helps you peel back the layers. He doesn't leave any stone unturned. Let me tell
interesting.
you when he's talking, and it he has this unusual way. It's almost preacher-like in the fact that he gets to your soul quickly.
mm.
He is one of those men who just kind of opens it up and just reveals it all and invites you to do the same. And that in and of itself is a talent. It truly is a talent.
Yeah.
Um, One of the things that he left me with, especially, he said in each one of his books, because he says, look, I'm writing a chapter in my life, and my life isn't over. So in every book, the last page says, to be continued. That's how he ends his book.
I like that.
And I really enjoy that. I mean, I've written 13 pieces for Laura. Right now, I'm leading a book called From Burnout to Burning Bright. Probably going to change the name, but um, it's about overwhelm. It's about overwhelm. It's about burnout. It's about where a lot of people are when they are just so overwhelmed with everything that's coming into them, especially in this age of technology, that they feel like they can't move and they can't do it. So it's prevention, healing, and recovery, and all of the modalities that go along with that. Speaking of that, by the way, I'm looking for someone in the nutritionist field that deals with uh, that can deal with overwhelm in order to be in the book. It's one of those facets. I'm trying to deal with as many modalities as I possibly can, and it's really about um, how to how to walk people out of burnout, how to have them recognize where they are and how they can walk through it and get on the other side of it and maintain health, healthy outlook, a healthy perspective,
Mhm.
but also keep keep it away. Those tools for, making sure you don't go back there.
Scott, can you define burnout, please?
Absolutely. For me, what burnout means, when my wife was undergoing cancer treatment and had first undergone cancer treatment, had her biggest fear was cancer. Her mom had died of cancer, ovarian, and she had just been diagnosed with breast cancer. We were dealing with my youngest daughter, who was multiply handicapped, and she was at the time unstable medically. So from day to day, it was never knowing what was going to happen, what hospital I was going to end up in,
Mm.
what I was going to be called on to do while trying to maintain a house and maintain the older two daughters, maintain a job, maintain sanity, and being in survival and having survival as the only outlet that I had to work from. It's very, very nice to be altruistic. It's very nice to be very spiritual. But when you don't know from one day to the next what's going to happen, and you have this burden and you don't know how to share it in any shape, manner, or form, um, and no matter the people you have behind you, the system that you have behind you, if you have anybody behind you, and for me, I was pretty isolated. You just don't know. You're gasping for air. You feel like you're dog paddling, trying to keep your head above water to just be able to breathe, and
Mm.
not knowing which way to turn. And that sense of hopelessness, that sense of despair, that sense of what am I going to do? And looking up and saying, okay, what do you got next for me, God? Because I don't know if I can take any more.
Yeah.
For me, when I got there, I just added layers of armor on. For me, that was the key. I added just to be strong. I had to be strong for my family, for my girls, for to maintain integrity, to maintain sanity. And the walls got higher, and um, very limiting. It becomes very isolating, and you feel very isolated, not knowing where to turn, who to ask, or even if anybody would help. Just 5 minutes of respite was sometimes all that I needed, and I couldn't find that. So
Wow.
it's that for me, that was what overwhelm looked like for me. And I know that there are people out there who walk through quiet desperation in their everyday lives. Yes, they show up for work every day. Yes, they do their job every day. Yes, they come home. Yes, they function. But they're right on the margin of staying sane, staying in integrity with their life that they chosen. And so overwhelmed really is being able to be in a safe space, being able to come out of it in a safe space, feeling you're in a safe space, how to find and build that for yourself, no matter if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day. And it's knowing that you're still there, and realizing that everything that you're carrying that shouldn't define you or doesn't define you, but it's just what you do. Um, the definition of how we see ourselves. My wife, the second and third time she was diagnosed with cancer, when she had relapses, um, she she just looked at it. The doctors said, "Okay, what do we got? What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? Here we go." She was somebody who had cancer. In the last couple of years of her life, she became a cancer patient, which is a very distinct difference. She wasn't someone who was carrying through life and just had cancer within her. Cancer became to define everything, who she was and what she had lost. And when she had, when she had to retire because she could not teach anymore, when she had to stop driving because she didn't have the capacity to drive, all the way when you keep losing parts of yourself, when she couldn't come downstairs because she could go from bed to the bathroom and bathroom to bed, and the chair next to the television, and that was her life. That was it. It just got smaller and smaller and smaller. And I think we've all been in those places where you take care of either your parent, your spouse, your child, and you never really think about it. You don't think about, not doing it. You just do it automatically because this is your life, this is your family, this is um who you love, I would, there are so many times I just asked if I could take the burden and not her.
Mm.
Uh, Didn't work out that way.
No,
But
it
it's
doesn't work
just,
that way.
but you feel in going through it and having somebody that is going through that kind of pain and going through the length of time that she did, and just wanting to give her respite in some shape or manner or form. And yeah, that's the toughest part is that the sense of helplessness
Hopelessness. Yeah.
that you can't change it.
Hmm.
And it redefined how we saw life in dealing with my youngest daughter when she was multiply handicapped, um, making decisions that allowed us to understand that quality of life, the end result of any procedure, any process, anything that we did was quality of life. Will this make her life better
Better.
in some form or fashion? And that was kind of in making life and death decisions and making decisions about surgeries and procedures and things that people wanted to do with both my daughter and my wife. It was all about, well, if you go through this, kind of what's the ROI? In other
Yeah.
words, on the other end, is this going to make life better? Is the quality of her life? Or is that suffering that she's going to go through, that healing, that time that she's going to be unable to do things, is it really going to pay off? Or is it just going to leave more of the same? And so I think that's what a lot of people walk through is that question.
Wow. Yeah, those are burdens. And uh, that's a lot of responsibility as well as a lot of love involved. And I
Well,
can,
I heard him say that that was what he defines, because you
mhm,
asked him to define overwhelm.
Well,
So that's different than what other people go through for overwhelm. It
yeah,
does mean it's a personal journey, isn't it? Because
yes.
indeed,
as I used to work for visiting nurses, and I know that as a caregiver, I would see the families taking care of the people when we weren't there, when visiting nurses wasn't there,
Mm.
what they would go through and all that stuff. So that is a totally different overwhelm than, say, somebody who is, almost ready to live out on the street because they don't have the money that you talked about. And I do want to touch on that a little bit. We did take a cruise one time, and I did notice money. There was a line. We got off the boat and we walked up, and there was an obvious line of money, literally like a line in the street, on the driveway, on the whatever path. Money, no money. Where there were shacks and people living with nothing.
yeah,
And it shocked me because I've always lived in the United States. It shocked me. Now they're used to it because that's how they've grown up and that's what their life is like. But if all of a sudden you lose all your money, or something happens, you lose your job and that type of thing, and the stress and overwhelm of trying to keep up so that you don't end up on the street, that's a totally different than what you're talking about, Scott. Do you agree?
Mm. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Caregiving is totally a different overwhelm. Oh my
It's
this is
goodness.
totally
true.
different. It's totally different overwhelm. You have people who are overwhelmed in their jobs, who
Hmm.
are working night and day. They say that people that are working from home, instead of working less, are working more. And it's much, much harder to redefine the lines because when you're traveling to work, there's a line. You're driving. You're
Yeah.
taking the bus, you're taking the subway, you're taking the train, whatever. And then when you leave, you literally leave. And people work from home have there is that problem with defining it. And that's not
Yes.
easy either. And there is that overwhelm. I've talked to some people who said they had worked, they had logged in 80 hours through the course of the week with their job. And that doesn't leave a lot for anything else.
Not if you want to have a life other than work. And I've gone through that myself because for many, many years now I've worked from home. And Richard has two, although he worked out of home um, before I met him. Actually, I think he was still working, commuting about an hour each way.
Mhm.
Um, pardon me. But you get stuck because there's always something to do, or at least it feels that way. And, in my case, it's okay, I've got to do in my office. And then I'm so it's time to make dinner, or whatever you want to call it. And back and forth. And yet it's still here when you have an office that's outside of the house and you go to work, even if, especially if you work for someone else and it's not your responsibility to take care of everything. um I think it's a lot easier to let that go, in the sense that, okay, it's still in your mind, but it's not in your face at the
Right.
time. And so, but this was my choice. And we all have choices, or most of us have choices anyway. And I have been to Cancun, I've been to Tulum, and this was probably 40 years ago, 41 years ago,
Wow.
and it doesn't seem to have changed from what you're saying. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely wonderful, and we enjoyed the pyramids in Tulum, and the sightseeing,
Mhm.
which there was not a lot of variety, but it was very interesting. It was fascinating because it's about another complete other culture.
Mm.
And that, to me, I love seeing different cultures, and meeting people from different areas of the world. Um, and then you come back to, quote, reality, and sometimes it's hard to get back into it. Um,
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's we came back, half the people came back to snow,
mhm.
um, after being in 85-degree weather the entire time. Um,
Like what's
we
behind you.
we're oh Lord, we were the last night we were on the beach with the full moon as it was, just stunning. And 15 hours later we're uh, landing in Boston,
In snow.
and it wasn't snow, but I sure was glad that we brought our heavy coats, our winter coats, when we went down to Mexico,
Yeah.
because it wouldn't have survived the bus ride to the car.
Right? When I go to
Oh,
Michigan to visit my daughter, I leave my winter coat there and she meets me at the airport with the coat. So I don't have to
that's
deal.
a good idea.
It's a great idea, right? If you have somebody there, because we never need a winter coat here. We may need a jacket or a sweater or both. But yeah, we don't have that. And I'm actually glad we're having kind of a cold spell right now here in Houston. And so I'm kind of glad because I'm getting ready to go to the beach because it was hot. I was in the 80s up until about 2 weeks ago. And it was
Wow.
like, man, I'm not, So all of a sudden it's like really cold. My feet are cold. I have socks on. It makes a difference to go from
Yeah.
one to the other. And
Yeah.
if you have the 85 degrees all the time, like if you lived in Hawaii or something, it would get monotonous. You wouldn't think so, but if you have heat all the time, you want a little cool, less
Yeah.
humidity.
Well,
But
living in
the
Boston, they always say if you don't like the weather, wait an hour.
But same thing here. Yeah. Actually, it was very funny. I have to tell you, Richard. I think both of you have met.
Yeah.
And Marian definitely knows Richard. He has been like a little child with the snow. It is so fun to watch him. So much fun because how many inches did we get? It's still, oh, and it's coming down again. Because when you don't live in the climate for many, many years where there is snow, or, radical weather changes from one minute to the other, it's very interesting. It's fascinating. And the snow, I've it's the kind of snow that packs easily. You can really make great snowballs. So make a
Perfect.
snowball and
Because it's
toss
kind of
one around.
warm. Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
that's beautiful. Um, I I we don't get over the last probably 10 years, we haven't gotten any snow in December in
Mm,
Boston. And
really?
yeah, 8 years ago, from January 15th to March 15th, we ended up getting over 7 feet of snow.
That's
Wow.
right. I
In my
remember that,
driveway,
Scott.
I know I'm 6 foot tall, and I was throwing it over my head on the sides of the driveway. You couldn't
Wow.
use
Woo.
a snowblower because it couldn't go high enough.
Right.
It
Yep.
was,
I
yeah,
remember that.
it reminded me of when I was a kid. Of course, I was a lot smaller, but it seemed like every winter we would pile everything up on the driveway, taller than I was. And my dad was always one for, uh, you know, I was the oldest, so I always got volunteered to go out first, while my sisters would watch through the window. Uh,
Well, I've got one like that too in New York. I remember I must have been about 10 or 11. I was older than my brother, still am. And I actually had to climb out a window because we couldn't open the front
Yep.
door for me to get out there with the shovel
Yeah.
and shovel the snow.
Yeah.
So
okay,
he helped
We
me
had
that's
out a
that in
window.
Detroit too. We had
Yep.
what was it called? The blizzard of 76.
Yeah.
78.
78?
I was
Okay.
78.
probably 78. Yeah.
It was.
No, I
We
would have been 14, I think,
It
then.
was pretty intense.
Was it a 78?
No,
I went to work that
older
morning.
than that.
I wasn't going to, and they said, "Oh, come in, and then you can leave early." Couldn't my car was buried. I couldn't find it in the parking lot. I went down on a Monday. On a Friday, my buddy and I, who lived in the same town, we walked 25 miles, hitching rides to milk trucks and bread trucks because they were the only ones on the road, in order to get home.
Wow. And we are fortunate. We are among those who are fortunate to be able to do these things. And can you imagine those in where you were who don't have the means? And I just want to sort of gratitude works. And I am so grateful for where I am now and where I have been for most of my life.
Yes.
And
Before we close today, I'd really like for
yeah,
Scott to promise me that he'll send me some places and things that he did to survive that, because I think that's the theme today was overwhelm. And I know a lot of people are going through overwhelm, and it might not be through medical and disabilities and family stuff. It might be just business, but there's a multitude of reasons why people are going
yeah.
through overwhelm. And so I would love it if you could grace us with some tips maybe, or some links to things that they could do that you did, when you were in overwhelm, because I think a lot of people need that. It's the end of the year.
Yes.
There's lots of family things going on, end of the year stuff at work. Everybody's 2026 is coming. What are we doing? There's a lot of different things going on. So let's end today with the promise that we're all going to come up with some ideas that we could put in the links and the comment section down below that will help
Absolutely.
people with overwhelm. What do you
Yep.
Absolutely.
say?
Good
And then,
idea.
and we all know those small things, those minute things that we can do to try and help through overwhelm.
Well, breathe is for one for me.
Always,
Deep
always.
breaths. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, a couple of deep breaths can actually change your whole physiology, or at least begin the change. And so thank you, Scott. It's such a
Well,
Yes.
pleasure
thank you
to
very
have
much.
you back here
Yes.
again.
It's
Yes.
And
always a pleasure.
you're part of the family
Yep. You're welcome back anytime. And
anytime.
we didn't even discuss what we were going to discuss today. We just left it open, and that's
Yeah,
exactly what happened. And I'm
that's how it
grateful
works
for it.
sometimes.
So I do want to go over a few things in our referral business builders. So one of the things that we have is a book club, and this morning's book club we're in chapter 6 of The Big Leap, and chapter 6 is about Einstein time. So I'm going to leave us with that. You really should get that book if you have, if you want to listen to it, Audible. There's free places through your library where you can listen to it, or you can buy the physical book very cheap. It's an older book, but man, is it good. And they talk about in chapter 6, Einstein time, meaning if you're stressed out because you're going to be late for a meeting or something like that, instead of going through what's the other one called, Ricki? You said it many times today.
Newtonian time.
Newtonian time.
Excuse me.
You might want to
The
consider
clock.
Einstein time instead.
Which means instead of taking time for something, you make time for something. That was one of his definitions for it.
Yeah. And I think overwhelm, that is a big part of it, because a lot of people are, time, I got time and all this stuff. So anyway, there are replays. If you're a member of Referral Business Builders, you can come to our live events, or you can see all the replays. So we invite you to come and join us. We have not only this podcast, but the book club. We also have Marketing Made Easy once a month. We have me this Thursday. I'm doing a connectors classroom. I'll be teaching a brand new AI that is going to change the world. I know it is. And so I highly recommend that you all come and just check it out, because you don't want to be left behind, do you? No.
And please join us whenever you can and comment below. We appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
And again, thank you, Scott, for being here. You really helped complete today beautifully.
Yes.
It's so good to see you.
Yes.
So come back again. And those of you out there who haven't commented, please do. We appreciate that. And we love you all, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye for now.